Okay, so today I'm going to continue diving into blue all the more, and of course I'm doing white and blue together, which are my two least favorite colors, but I keep thinking of it as just blue because obviously I'm thinking about the Invisible Stalker and Hexproof and some of those mechanics that I actually do like, which is kind of like to say that every color, despite how much I like or dislike it, is going to have some mechanics that I like and some I don't like. Like even if I think about blue, or I mean green, what do I dislike about green? I mean, I mostly like all the good statting and the ramp and everything like that. um Maybe I don't like that it's so weak against flying, but then again, I don't like flying anyway too much as a mechanic. So maybe green is pretty much perfect, but the point is, even something I dislike as much as blue, there are going to be certain aspects of it that I still do like. So of course, hexproof I love, but yeah, I'm gonna start tacking on like one game in the other version of the game, Magic Online, to the end of these episodes every time, just because whatever. Not that these episodes are too long anyway, but you know, I just finally played that for the first time like a couple weeks ago on my Saturday format, so I figured I can just kind of fit it in here. But I'm not going to replace this series because I still like the idea of trying to sort of pseudo make progress or whatever. Not that I really have played that much. How have I done this little in this expansion too? I guess I just haven't even been doing the daily quests. The way that I can guarantee to get 2 orbs every time. See, like a lot of these I'm just not going to do because unless it's, I guess, even white, I am using it, but I guess I didn't use enough of it there. Or I guess that's my guilty pleasure, like withdrawal. I'm not using green in this game maybe for a super long time again, but I am using it in online, or at least I'm able to more. 20 blue or red. Okay, so that should be perfect, and there's really nothing else to build or to do with this. Like, we pretty much have what we have. Let's just look at it. Like, again, that's not like I'm building it in any optimal way, but the whole point was to try to buff it, but I just don't have enough good buff cards. Like, the idea is you take, you know, you're combining the buffing and the healing of white with the untargetable counter nature of blue. So like I'm gonna create, you know, the whole point of this is Invisible Stalker. You're gonna put out the Invisible Stalker. They can't target it, they can't destroy it unless they have like an AoE or something else special, but they can't target it, and then I'll keep buffing it to the point where it's even harder to kill, even with AoEs or whatever, and just keep hitting them in the face with it. But of course, I don't have really very many good buff cards and things of that nature, so I'll just deal with it for now. But no, I like doing this on a regular basis just because you are building up your collection. You are still, you know, enjoying the core experience. I guess nobody would have the patience to do this, though, which is why they either don't like free-to-play stuff or they don't like, you know, I kind of double it up. Not only is it free-to-play in a new account, whatever, relatively at least, the point is that you're also not even trying to metagame to what you have. So like even what I've crafted with the wild cards that I've gotten has been probably super suboptimal. They're not really recent cards all the time. They're not really the best cards all the time. They're not really trying to make meta decks, but it just doesn't matter because, you know, for me the whole experience is so fresh that I'm never going to rush it or anything like that. And of course in online you do get to see some of the older cards that I don't think this game includes. I don't know exactly what the cutoff point was or whatever, but I mean, this game starts from like an expansion, let's say 10 years ago or something like that, 10 to 15 years ago. I'm just assuming. I don't even know. Whereas that one would start from literally 1994 and have all the cards from there, I think. Right? So like Orb of Resistance was kind of a fun card that somebody used against me in that. And it's like, I wish I had that here, but I don't think you can. Or you'll probably just have better versions of the same thing, but it just makes like everything cost 1 more or something of the sort. So those kind of things, yeah, I'm more a fan of preventing people from doing stuff than doing stuff myself. So in that sense I like blue, but not so much as far as removal. I like it more so preventing their removal and things like that, right? So I can play something and then I can counter everything you do to destroy mine instead of trying to destroy yours, right? So that's the point. So I'll have really well statted minions, although I don't really have that here. So I'd have like Gigantosaurus or something crazy like that, and then I'll just put, you know, whatever, I'll protect it. I'll use my trap cards like Trap Jammer, Magic Jammer, like in Yu-Gi-Oh, to try to protect it. Or, you know, the minion themselves will have that effect where, you know, it's like Jinzo. So is there something in this game that's like you play it, right, and as soon as it's on the board, your opponent can't play any spells, just period. But I guess in this game that wouldn't even make sense because any spells would mean creatures as well because they're considered creature spells. So that's kind of a moot point, but that means they can't play any like removal spells or anything like that. Not even that they can't target it like, oh, it's hexproof. I mean like literally they can't even play it, period, until that thing leaves the board. So they'd have to destroy it on the board, right? There must be some way to do that sort of setup, but it would take a lot more work. There won't just be one card that just automatically does it, or it could be like a higher cost card. Hollowed Fountain. That's pretty cool. I just always hate the borders and the outlines. Like, they kind of stand out too much where, you know, like, why can't the whole card back just be that image and you don't need to show the border around it, right? You could just be like a lighter whatever. Now, here's the whole goal of the game, is to get this out there, keep whacking you in the face, and hope that you can't remove it, and just try to, you know, do this unpreventable, unmitigatable damage. And more specifically, we can also do that with flying. Like you just see, this is like a troll. It's me doing all the kind of things I don't like, in a way, like flying and sort of unmitigatable damage, right? Like, yes, it's super inefficient, but it's like, if you can't deal with it, you're just gonna die to it, unless you know, are rushing me down first, which a lot of these better decks aren't gonna do. Even they'll be super slow paced, and then sometimes it'll catch them by surprise. But no, the point is that, you know, it's flying and hexproof, so you can't do anything about it except, I guess, just block it with your own thing that has flying. But a lot of people aren't gonna have that, really. Now, this one's great to keep out there, because what you can do is, I mean, you could do that. What exchange control of artifact or creature you control. I mean, I guess I'll do that, but I'd much rather just try to hit them in the face. The idea of this is actually pretty cool. If you could reliably keep the stalker alive, or if you could, you know, just keep buffing it a little more effectively. This is going to take way too long to actually do, right? If the game, now, couldn't you target that, because you're targeting it with a planeswalker, not a, cannot be target of spells or abilities your opponent controls. I think I've actually rarely seen that come into play, where it's, okay, this we should be able to do anyway. Trample, ward ×2. Ward is obviously just poor man's hexproof, so it's not really that special. That one I can always take care of later, but I kind of want to get rid of this, but it's going to take like a century to actually do it. But no, this effect is kind of good. You know what would almost fit in here that I'm not going to do is that, whatever it's called, like Avada book something. It's that werewolf chick that gives like +1/+1 counters to stuff every turn. That I crafted that one instead of the Carnage Tyrant, because even though I like dinosaurs so much, that one seemed better. And so it's the idea that you're going to buff all your hexproof stuff so easily. This effect I don't even mind, because you can just I can just take advantage of the fact that you get the little 1/1 fishes, which is fine with me. Like, I'm not really going to be doing anything with that anyway. Yeah, people use such crazy like rainbow hybrid stuff, which I find interesting. You could say I like lack the imagination to do that myself, but it's kind of just, okay, so you might have to sack something to deal with this. If you, let's do it like, he's just gonna block it though, right? These stupid ass planeswalkers are playing too big of a role in the game. So you'll block that, you'll die, but it'll still trample through it. Oh, so I should have done it, fuck, I should have done it the other way, because then it would have been guaranteed to trample and kill the other. Well, but then you still wouldn't have killed this, because you only did 3 to it. You know, that stalker is going to be good, but I mean, look at this. This guy's like an emerald player, right? Or platinum, whatever the fuck it's called, because everybody hates platinum. It's just like a bootleg silver. The point is, like, look at how long he's given me. It doesn't matter that he did that. It doesn't matter that he's gonna win, right? Like, look at how much time he gave me. That if my deck was maybe even a little bit better, I could have easily dealt with it. Now they're gonna do some crazy shit. Right, this is always what happens. They do nothing for like 10 turns, but they're building towards something, and then they do some crazy combo. Right now I can't recover from that, because it's just gonna be it's just gonna be too much to deal with. Like, there's no rhyme or reason. Some of these cards might actually be decent, but just, you would need a little bit of support. You can't just do it like, what, a 5 mana 4/4 or 4 mana 4/4. Other creatures you control that are enchanted by auras have base power toughness of 4/4 and have flying.
I invite you to change your ways.
That could actually be bad though, because it's like base power and toughness of 4/4. But what if their base is higher than that, right? Normally, then this is a perfect example of of the whole disgrace to the statting too. It's like it's the 4-mana 6/6, so just use it like that. But you're using it in all these other crazy ways that are totally not necessary. Now I'm gonna actually have to start playing on the board just because there's just too much shit. And then some of these people spawn like a million tokens where there's just nothing you can do about it, or at least nothing I can do about it because I don't have AoEs like ever in any of these decks. But no, I'm actually surprised at the lack of AoE that you see on a regular basis in this game. Like, either there's not that much of it, or people don't really value it too much, but... Or you see, like, the same ones, obviously, over and over, but that's expected, like the one he just did. Like, exile everything, but... This guy's got all the cool animations. The point being that, that's, like, one of the only things they could deal with Invisible Stalker, or not really, because you could just do an AoE that does, like, 3 damage, which isn't that big of a deal. But, again, apparently nobody really typically has those. The way I could have won that is maybe if I rushed him down a little better with respect to not hitting the Planeswalker so many times, but clearly their deck is better. And, like, that never bothers me because it's like, I'm doing what I want to do, right? This happens in both senses, right? When you first start playing a game, I want to play it like this, but also when I played it for a long time, like with Hearthstone now, I don't want to use always the meta decks over and over, so I want to try, even if they are newer meta decks with newer cards, it's still like I want to just mess around with different things, right? So I'm not measuring it simply by the result. The only downside of that is if you're playing at a low rank and you're playing against bots all the time, right? I at least want to lose to a player in doing that. So again, you got the Invisible Stalker, and of course we have 4 of them compared to everything else. So now they know my strategy, but again, you can get off to a good quick start. Like they gave me way too many turns. So I know people will mock that and say, well, haha, you lost, but there's something deeper going on there. Like, that's so shitty that no matter how good their deck is and how many things they can counter and do things like that, they really didn't have a really good early game strategy. So you could rush them down or something of the sort. Right, or create some sort of position that they can't recover from, basically. So this is exactly that. Now I'll buff it up. I'll try to hit you as much as I can. The problem with these is you have to play them twice over, so it's so expensive. Like, you have to play it for 2, but then you have to equip it for 3. So why the fuck would I even bother? But I will, I guess. Yes, +2/+1. This one's at least cheaper because it's a human. Right, and it would still let you play it for 3 if you wanted to, for some reason, but... like, it gives you the other option. It doesn't just automatically do that. So yeah, I'll get it to like a 5 attack fucking thing, and it'll take only 4 turns to kill you. That's literally how simple it can be. And then unless they have that exile thing, it doesn't matter what you summon. It doesn't matter what you hit me in the face with, right? You just have to remove it, which you might not be able to do. You're already pulling out the big gun here. But the whole gaining 3 life thing is stupid too, because I can't deal with healing, because again, you got to end it relatively quickly. But no, I do like how even a lot of these good decks maybe don't really have an answer for something like this, where you're not expecting to have to use that exile on a single target. Even that, you just destroyed the equip card, but not the card itself. But it's just going to drag this shit out for too long. Yeah, I just got to find what is a better buff thing. And in fact, I'll even ignore that for now. Even as expensive and stupid as that is. Yeah, we're ramping you up by having a 5 cost 3/2. That's really going to scare the shit out of you. But do you have anything with flying that can deal with it? Like, I love the win condition if we do win with one of these. Like, but they're going to heal too much. That's what I can't deal with. As much as I am surprised how low the cost is of some of this stuff, or like how low your starting health is, I almost wish you couldn't heal above the maximum. Yeah, that's perfectly fine. So we're gonna hit you for 6, so it'll only take like 3 more turns of that. But before you keep doing that stupid ass heal every single turn with that, like, not really something that I can do anything about. See, at least here you can say, oh, it's uninteractive on my level because they can't target my stuff with spells, but they could play something on the board and actually try to fight it. But I guess in that sense, Magic is innately less interactive than most card games, for better or for worse, because you can't attack minions. You can only attack their face. I might just ignore it because I'm getting... I mean, I could keep just playing that every single turn too, or I might be able to play this if I should just ignore them because I have to just finish it off.
Surely you must be famished.
I don't know, man. gonna be fucking stupid because I can't really do anything. Like, you just have to end him quickly. You can do that stupid ass fish thing, whatever. I'll just try to go for it. If it works, it works. But leaving these planeswalkers around is a big mistake. And in fact, that I couldn't have equipped anyway, but they're all hexproof. But to what extent can you still target it with that? You can still exchange it, right? Even if you can't target it, it'll say, no, maybe it will. We'll see. Some of these effects, actually, I don't understand. I know it can't be targeted by a direct spell, but planeswalker effects can sometimes be weird, or it depends on the phrasing. Like if it just says whatever, a random creature, it might just take the creature even if it's not targeting it specifically. Ward for 2, but they have plenty of fucking land. Okay, fine. You picked the wrong one though still, because you get to,
I'll protect you.
You know, you would have rather taken the invisible stalker. That's going to be more of a thorn in your side. Alright, now you actually get the 6/6 for real here. That you can't even still do. This you can still just hit him in the face. So, I mean, my health value is okay. So I'm just going to finish you off with what I have. And if I can, then I can't win. Like, just try to understand. If you were to win this, look at the levels that we're playing. This dude is literally playing like fucking 4D, 5D chess with whatever crazy shit deck he's using. And I'm just using the most basic, banal, at least idea behind what I'm doing possible. Like, but this is what I like. I find this more satisfying somehow. I don't care about those. I just want to see, like, we almost have it, dude. 6. It's just a matter of, like, one or more equipped things, right, that we would have left. We're getting fucking time warped in the goddamn whatever. Fucking, we need that bird to give us PTSD from Hearthstone. Fuck off. Well, see, now whatever healing they do is going to be what fucks me over. I mean, the point is you still have like a vague chance. I just need better cards for the same purpose of what I'm trying to do. But
I've got it.
It makes you think of like the synchro summoning type idea from, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! At times, where it's kind of like you're going to basically just sit there and watch your opponent do stuff most of the time, just because obviously, you know, they'll have like these super long million fucking interactions that they can do. Yeah, you can't leave the planeswalkers out there for this long, but I also can't focus on them because that was a mistake I made last game, where it's basically like, if I could just get the stalker to stick for a little bit longer and actually retain some of these buffs, it would be fine. Like, some of these decks just aren't going to have an answer for it. That's the point. But I'm not that impressed still by this person. Or maybe sometimes I give them too much credit. Like, maybe their deck isn't even that good still, but obviously it at least has something going on. It just takes them so long to try to do it. Right? Like, there must be so many much easier ways to do what they're doing. That's what blue and white can sometimes feel like. Like, you're going out of your way and doing all this shit. Like, just summon something big and just fucking deal with it. Why do you gotta make it so complicated for nothing? Right? They didn't do some crazy OTK win condition. It was just like gradual shit anyway. So how long is even left in this expansion? It should be getting close to the end, or maybe not. But I haven't cared about the cosmetics too much. That's the only time where I really make a point to try to do the daily quest every week and stuff like that. And I guess I proved that it's enough to get like 2 orbs for the cosmetic. Like if I... And the cover art card for this box isn't even in my deck. I just like the picture. I forget what it even is. But no, it's like... They should let you use that. Like, any card art that you want, you should be able to use as a card back just at will. But even if you have to like craft a special version of it or something to do that. Because a lot of the card backs are going to be like that anyway. Like the Tim Burton card back is a card. I just forget what it is. But yeah, if you just do the daily quest, if you do 3 daily quests like once a week, right? So you only play once a week and you do 3 daily quests for the whole expansion, you will automatically get enough to get 2 orbs. Ergo, you can get like whatever cosmetic that you want from a typical reward track, like the avatar or whatever type stuff. So even as little as I play, you can still at least do that much. Alright, that's fine. Probably just get rid of that. But I mean, look at the level of the equip cards that I'm actually using. Like, these are fucking garbage. But then maybe all the other ones are only going to be too expensive too. Like, I want low cost ones that I can do easily on curve, but And it's really a shame if you don't get an invisible stalker, because it's like, how can you possibly, you know, you have 4 of them and nothing else has like more than 1 or 2 copies. So at least this person is playing at a certain pace that you can respect, because a target creature you control, which could be itself, of course. At the beginning, or this whole automated element to the game is very helpful when you are new to it, relatively. Like, at least, you know, would you rather play, but I guess online is like that too. Online is automated, which I almost wasn't sure whether it would be or not. But no, imagine like you're playing something for the first time and you're playing it on fucking like Kaiba Core virtual dual system type thing where you have to do everything manually. That's very hard to figure out. Or people aren't going to be patient enough to even do that. When it's equipped, it gets +1/+1. So we don't have to worry about that, but we see this card maybe way too much. Get rid of some stupid ass equip thing. I mean, one of these times we're going to be able to equip all that we want to the one guy, to Invisible Stalker, and we'll be perfectly fine. But, or again, all it would do is like get it up to like a 3 or 4 attack and just attack them for a few turns, and that would be good enough. Destroy target creature, its controller draws 2 cards, which of course is all part of their plan. That's at least a relatively simple synergy, but look how quickly that person dispatched me. That was crazy. And of course there's nothing really much I can do about that. Right, I'm not going to have removal even if they attack in. I didn't have anything strong enough to block with, but it's like... See, maybe that one just went perfectly for them. So now this is why I like the best of 3, where, you know, they're not always going to go like that. So now I'll do really well or get really lucky. So it helps to mitigate RNG and complaint making that people always are going to do. Oh, I only lost because they got Exodia in their opening hand or some shit. I did just beat a gold player like the last time, whatever, right? With this deck or with something similar. So it's not like you can't do it, but it's just always such a shock, right? I'd rather have a 20% win record than with a shitty deck like this, because that one win feels so much more meaningful. Whereas if you have, you know, like a 50+% win rate with another actual good deck, then it feels like, oh, well, that goes without saying. It should be even higher. But it's not even so much an excuse. It's more just like a mindset that, you know, you want to use something a little bit novel here. Not that I would know much of a difference, but things get sort of too contrived over time, right? The longer a card game is out, it's more like, oh, everything feels like it's intended by the game rather than just, I don't know, like all the interactions you're doing are like super deliberate and just like very preconceived, and it's like you start to play like more on just your side of the board. Like you're doing your interaction, they're doing their interaction, and at some point they might clash or meet, but that's where the whole principle of playing on the board is so important, that you're able to basically just... Okay, but you don't have that shield dread chick to carry you here. Draw 2 cards. Whenever draw a card, deals 1 damage to that player. Like, that is dangerous, but I'll just deal with it because... I mean, but really, why? When I just lost to that, I hate it, but... Like, I'm not going to win if I play like that, because... I've already lost. I had to hit their face every single turn I get the chance, and then I might have a chance to win, which makes me feel really like an aggro mindset, but it doesn't have to be. It's just, oh my god. I like this person's commitment to the theme, at least. Of course, I'm getting mana screwed like crazy, and that thing I won't be able to do anything about anyway. But no, I like how many of the same cards they have to do the same effect, which means their deck probably isn't even that good, but at least you're committing to it a lot. See, they didn't get off to the best start here, but they're still gonna clown me. And of course, you know, this is almost unfair. You might think, well, haha, it's just like you're going to get mana screwed because your deck is so bad, but that's at least one element that shouldn't be happening, right? Like, I do have enough land in there. Or that should be the requirement. I have to win at least one best of 3 to be able to... See, I can still almost match their damage. If I could just get an actual land or a buff or something. Like, look how I... Whatever, dude. Like... Why do I always have to get mana screwed this hard? Like, we're still keeping up. Like, we can still do something if I... Or 2, then we could equip it to the actual Invisible Stalker itself. There's nothing I can really do about those. I think I will actually just die from the simple fact of the card draw alone.
The history of this world is one.
Or I would have to block something.
And it's my turn.
Fuck.
Even the world.
Okay, at least this person's deck was interesting with how much they committed to that. So you have, you know, the Underworld thing. This is whenever a creature enters the battlefield, lose 1 life. You might think, oh, that means it's cohesive and it has a good, you know, whatever structure to it. But actually, it's usually not a good idea to commit so hard to one idea like that. That's almost what I do. Like, I'll have every hexproof minion in the game or something like that. I'm just not able to get the Invisible Stalker in the right position here. And I'm always so lazy. Like, I'll make a deck like this and then I'll just keep using it rather than trying to iterate with it. But I don't even have any wild cards really to do anything with. But no, I'll look for some better buff cards maybe like next time to see. Or maybe I'll look after this one. But let's just try to win actually a best of 3. Which I'm capable of doing even against like gold players, even in Timeless, that people say it's such a bad format, like, or it's such an unfair format. But it's not really that different than Historic because that's what I would play anyway. And obviously it's like you're not going to be able to win the majority of games like this anyway. Right, like what would be the other, I don't know, what other format would be less competitive, right? It would have to just be Historic or something like that. No, that person at least I respect because it's like, okay, whatever they're using I can almost guarantee isn't good because it almost resembles one of my decks with how hard you commit to that idea. In fact, that seems almost like a fun idea to try myself, but I guess I'm stuck on blue and shit for now. But that's my whole standard too. I don't look stuff up, but if I see an opponent use it, I can always copy them that way. But I'll do it more so for that, like whatever that card was. I guess I could just look through the collection and see whatever cards mention that. Like whenever your opponent draws a card, you know, they lose 1 life and such and such. So a lot of these games we start off not even getting the Invisible Stalker, but even when I do get it, I don't get the yeah, everybody uses fucking Thought Seize too. That's like our most commonly seen card. Almost like they seize the thoughts of one another and just, or it's almost like their thoughts are seized by the meta that they all, you know, it's obviously a really good card. So even in a game with this many cards, with this much variety of everything you can do, with the number of cards you can have in your deck, it still gets bogged down to some semblance of meta, but at least I give it credit for that. The fact that since you can have anywhere between 60 and 250 cards, it opens that up a lot where maybe, you know, the best deck will be 65 cards or whatever, like some random amount that's very, you know, it's very open-ended in that way. Problem is I would have much rather had an island there rather than this, but yeah, see, we're just getting off to too many slow starts and having too many problems with respect to getting mana screwed and such. See, they're already getting themselves down. This is like a Jedi mind trick. Don't do anything for like 10 turns, then they'll get themselves down to like 5 HP with all these fucking effects, and then I'll just finish them off with some unpreventable damage that I can do. Kind of doing a disservice to it too, because it's like, this is such a cool idea, but I just can't figure out, or I just don't have adequate buffs to make it better, or maybe there just aren't any really good low-cost buffs. I'm sure there's like an OTK that you do with this too, like just you do a, well, but you'd have to give it haste too then. You'd give it haste and a bunch of buffs on the same turn and then one-shot you with, again, a creature that can be blocked, but there's that Devil's Valet thing or whatever that's actually, every time it takes damage its attack doubles, so you could just, you know, do something crazy with that. Haste, why does it got that fancy art around the outside? We have a good amount of land. Actually, we're just getting screwed now on the color of it. Right, like I'm complaining, oh, I don't get enough land, then I get enough land, but now it's the wrong kind of land, which is less an issue of what the colors are that I'm using and more an issue of just whatever just the fact that I'm using a rainbow or two color type deck, which is something I typically haven't done that either, right? Like, what's the downside? Just use only green, like 5 green to get a 5-mana 10/10, right? That's the trade-off. You have to commit to one color, but it doesn't matter because I would do that anyway if I like the color or whatever. I just want to be single-minded and just use one thing. Of course, nobody really does that. Well, at least I can't say I got mana screwed there. But regardless of the outcome, I do obviously like the best of 3 in theory. I'm just surprised at how some of these go. But again, nothing they did was really that impressive, so I can't always say that people are using the best things, but at least I assume that, you know, they have some kind of better cohesion in there. Alright, that's fine. We just get to, obviously, we can still win 2 in a row, though. That's the whole beauty of it. Obviously, if you lose 2 in a row, then you can't complain. Oh, they just got lucky twice. Your creatures can attack your opponent or their planeswalkers. Yeah, when I first started playing, I didn't know that you could even do anything with that. With the planeswalker for some reason. Or I never really tried to attack it. And I still don't typically like to even bother with them. Like, just let them have it and ignore it, but... yeah, the whole blocking mechanic is peculiar to some extent because it rewards a lot of minion effects where, you know, if you don't have a removal card for it directly, you just can't do anything about it, which maybe in early Magic would have been super annoying if that was the case. Like, I should almost just do it because we're going to get fucked over if we don't get... at least here we have something we can play, right? Whether it's actually the Invisible Stalker or not. Just let me get off to actually a decent start, but it seems impossible for me to actually do that. That should actually be my penalty. If I don't win at least one... well, but that might be too hard. If I don't win at least one best of 3, I can't play online, but I kind of just want to play one game in it at the end of every episode here. This is good. We can... fuck me. Blood Crypt. Some of the fucking land interpretations are pretty funny though. It's like, it's plains, but it's actually a city, which means we like built the fucking city over the plains. Like, what a great idea that is. That's Shadow, or X is your life total. I mean, at least that gives me a good incentive to whatever. Like, they're giving me a head start. So all I have to do is hit you 10 times with this, which hopefully with the whole buffing idea, we'll be able to do it much sooner than that. Yeah, and look at this degenerate using the whole companion. Fuck off, dude. Yeah, I'm blue, but yet I'm complaining about people using constant removal. That's my job. But I mean, obviously it's not what I want to be doing with it anyway. Now, it is dangerous because obviously this is just going to keep getting stronger, but... wait, what is its original statting, though? 13-13. I mean, it is dangerous to be playing it like that, but... flying Eternalize, I almost just need to block it at this point. But the point is, they still got themselves low enough. We're like, oh, I'm still winning on that. And if I just... I guess I'll look through and see, like, what kind of fucking buffs could we have? But even if there are better ones, I just don't have the cards right now to make it. Wild cards. Or that's how it would have been. If I was able to disenchant stuff in this game, I would have disenchanted every other color card every single time and only had green cards. So I'd have, like, every green card in the game, which was sort of a format to what I was trying to do with this game. Like, that's my goal and my win condition is I want to get, like, every green card in the game. But then I've still crafted other ones just because I'm kind of a clown and whatever. Give myself some variety along the way because it's going to take so long, obviously, to do that. So you're pretty much dead if you just do this. Right, between the flying and that. This is all it sometimes takes, but they'll obviously have an answer for it, just like every fucking time. Amazing. So we'll be like 1 damage short, and there's nothing I can do about it. I mean, maybe I could block something next turn too, but it doesn't really make sense because... What if we block with both the Invisible Stalker and that? But there'll be one thing... We could block the 3/3 and the 6/6, and then we'd have enough... I don't fucking know. Well, now I can't do anything, but I mean, or maybe they wouldn't have been able to do that, so then I should have hit him for the 5, but I'm not sure. Something about my math must have been wrong, but... Yeah, really impressive, dude. It's hard to measure even how good these people's decks are, but at the very least, they must be a little better than mine. I'm just not getting the core interaction that I really want, though. Like, how hard can it be to actually fucking buff this thing up? And all of the buff cards are actually so inefficient, too. Right, you have to play it for 2, then you have to equip it for 3. Like, why the fuck would I want to do that? At what point in the history of the game, like, would that actually have been worth it? You gotta just do something like plus whatever. Will it actually show me that? But it has to not be till end of turn, right? It just has to be overall forever. Yes, +2/+2 into... Oh my god, they're all like until end of turn. And yeah, I have literally 0. How did I not get any like low rarity ones in all this time, though? Still, sacrifice it gets +2/+2 and gains fine till end of turn. You cast a creature spell, that creature enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. Enlisted creature, you get a one-time boon. Again, all these things are sort of temporary, though. +1/+1 on each other creature named itself. I think I would have already looked through these, so there's nothing really of note. It's always just till end of turn. Like, what the fuck, dude? Or I need like a card that specifically says your until end of turn effects no longer say that, so they just last forever. Creatures you control get +1/+1 till end of turn. This is a little Hellraiser guy. +1/+1 counters from among creatures you control. Till end of turn. Like, they're all like that, dude. Till end of turn, which sometimes that can be still good as a finisher, don't get me wrong, but you know, that's more like the OTK mentality. I'll just combine like 5 or 6 of these that say until end of turn and just finish them off when they least expect it, which you wouldn't really need that many even, because a lot of these people get themselves super low in the first place, right? For 5? Yeah, that one I think we have in there too, right? I guess +3/+3 and ward 1. Let me see if we have that stupid armor one. What does it cost? Like 3. Yeah, we're just getting such a weird... Like how many lands do I have in there? I'm not concerned about the color, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I have like 10 lands and 10 plains, or I mean 10 islands. So that should be more than enough. Like 20 out of 60 cards is pretty good, right, for the lands. Yeah, the main issue is just a question of actually being able to get that thing to stick around, which it's just not doing for me. Or whether we get to actually buff it up an adequate amount, even if it does stick around. But you need more of those like minion effects. Like, even that thing is good. You summon it like the 3 cost 2/3 or whatever, right? And then he gives +1/+1 every turn. So that can still get out of hand over time. But then that thing doesn't have hexproof. So then that makes it kind of easy to get rid of that instead. But it's not like you're even trying to ever attack with it. You're just trying to actually use it for the buff, use it for the effect. You need something hexproof that gives a buff like that every turn too. Which I think that chick is actually like that. The little werewolf clown, but maybe she's not hexproof, but what she turns into is hexproof. No, she must be hexproof though, because I wouldn't have done it then anyway, because like I was only interested in those kind of cards. So I was deciding between Carnage Tyrant and her. Last about 3 months. They're not even sure how long their own expansions last. You know, we've had a couple close calls where we maybe could have won some of these games, but not really because I made a mistake, just because they have just enough to survive. Right, so you're at least putting yourself in a good position with respect to... Oh my god. I mean, I want the invisible stalker, but I guess I just can't. It doesn't even make mathematical fucking sense. Like, you literally have 4 of them in there and not of anything else. So why should it be that hard to get it? All you need is it to be a super slow-paced game, which sometimes you will get, where they'll literally let you hit it 20 times in the face with that, and regardless of what they're doing, or see they're already hurting themselves, which, yes, it might be part of their plan and it might be worth it, but well, I guess it's good that I didn't have the invisible stalker then, because they would have just gotten rid of it that way, which obviously hexproof isn't going to save you there. What a great hand, right? Fucking either you're getting mana screwed or you're getting land screwed, in the sense that you're getting too much land and not enough stuff to play with it, or you're just not getting enough to have enough mana to be able to play anything. So that's the downside of the land mechanic overall. And then of course other, you know, better decks will just seek to subvert that by giving you card draw and guaranteed shit. So actually we played around his effect though. That's why I deliberately didn't get the invisible stalker in the mulligan, even though obviously I was trying to. Like, let's see how quickly and easily they deal with that, because clearly this is a meta card that everybody's using that they must have an answer for. This ability only triggers once, okay. They're already down to 13, so would you really feel safe playing like this? Because you're going to let yourself get absolutely clowned. +2/+0 gets additional. I don't even care about the health right now, but where a lot of people are using this in particular, the stupid-ass Bowmaster thing. So their board is formidable, and there's not really much we can do about it, but it would only take like a few turns to actually do this. So if I can just survive them, and I'm not going to really be able to. Or wait a second. Everybody really is just using the same thing. Now, does that mean that they're bots, or does that mean that they're... Does that mean that they're bots, or does it mean that everyone's just using the same meta thing? Or I guess it's one and the same, because players of card games can sometimes behave like bots themselves, where everyone just mindlessly, you know, does the same thing. But it could just be that some of these cards are just really good, so... Or there's like some budget deck that is all the rage. I'm still not necessarily dead, but I'm probably pretty close, and in fact, Death Shadow is in particular... I'm getting like hard countered or something, like, oh, this deck works well against me because I'm trying to... But I mean, it would be good against like any sort of aggro deck, but... You know, like, what am I supposed to do? Just ignore the hitting them in the face and actually play on the board, like I always try to say anyway, but... Yeah, like, these decks don't really seem all that good, even that I'm going against, but obviously I can't do anything about it because... Like, I wasn't expecting this to be good, but somehow it just, everything has to go exactly the right way, which 1 out of 100 games apparently will get that to happen, but they have to be using like a slow-paced deck, and then they also have to be, maybe I will make that a rule though. So since I didn't win a set here, I won't actually do online, so I'll give myself like maybe one more chance. Or maybe this should be, but I mean, it doesn't seem like I'll have any chance of actually winning this. But no, the one thing I should try to do every expansion is buy at least 10 packs, so you get like the 1 golden pack or something, right? But I just never really even buy packs overall. I just buy these stupid cosmetics, like the voice lines that are like, okay, the fairy is actually kind of cool. Like, there's a lot of cards that I like to see in the early game here, but I'm just not getting them, I guess. Doesn't always have to even be the invisible stalker. Like, this isn't bad, because by the time you actually get to use it, right, as long as you get to play it on turn 1, that's still fine. Like, yeah, a lot of these other cards are very inefficient. So there is like a pseudo aggro element to a lot of my decks that ends up being sort of unintentional, right? They're not really meant to be necessarily aggro, but they have to be because your only chance of winning is to end it quickly before they get to do all their crazy stuff. But no, even that's like sort of mid-range with my dinosaurs. Like, oh, they're all high cost and they're all, or I mean, they're all very well statted, but it just ends up not even mattering because, I mean, it's literally turn 2, but I guess that ward just didn't save me even. Like, what the fuck is that? Right, see, that bypasses it because it's not, like, directly targeting it, I guess. Yeah, I mean, this is part of the reason why I don't like blue, though. I guess white isn't even that bad sometimes, but I just don't have very good white cards, but it's like, they're very inefficient on the mana curve. Like, look at the amounts that you're paying. Yes, it's hexproof, but that's still garbage. 5 mana 2/5. Like, what is that? At what point in the game's history would that have been a good statting or a good card? Right? Even when it came out, it was probably a joke. This is the whole sadness of it, is that they start off kind of slow. Like, he hasn't really done a whole lot, but I can't do anything myself. So you just kind of sit here and just watch. That is kind of ridiculous. Like, when you look at the curve and the amount of land and stuff we have, it's not really that bad just from an ability to actually play stuff. Not even saying it's going to win every game or anything like that, but how am I getting mana screwed this often with it? You have 20 lands. So like 1/3 of your deck is lands. But again, I guess just everything is too high cost, which is even still not, but I guess a lot of the low cost cards are just equip cards anyway, so we literally have 4 land out there, but everything we have costs 5 or more. What an amazing fucking deck, dude. See, at least the green ones I could always rely on because they're going to have one consistent denominator, which is they actually have good value cards, or they actually have the mana generating minions too, so you're going to at least be able to play stuff on the board and, you know, kind of ramp up from that. Now do the math. If I had had an invisible stalker out here for like 5 or 6 turns, right, and I had just put like 1 buff on it, you might have almost even won despite whatever they were doing, but now it's way too late. Oh my god. I hate to resign games out, but it's like, obviously, dude, just end it. But no, I like how much damage some of these people do to themselves because, you know, it is going to get you a certain comfort zone. Like, he only has 13 health, so imagine how much I could have done. It's possible he would have played it differently if I had done something, but yeah, I should just have it one good AoE in here because it always gets to this position. Or actually, I might almost have not. No, I'll still die, but okay, that's fine. Let me do like one more just to see how absolutely fucking disgraceful this is, but clearly I have to change it even for the purpose of what I'm trying to do with it. This is timeless format. Yeah, what was that guy even saying? Somebody was saying, oh, don't do timeless because you'll get destroyed there. But the reality is that it wouldn't really matter. Like, I'm not going to play standard because a lot of this stuff you couldn't use even in standard. So it's going to be, you know, if I was just doing historic before. Why did it reset my whole thing there? Like, yes, what people are using here might be a little better, but it's still not that big of a difference, I don't think. On average, what I'm using is not going to be very competitive anyway. Okay, last one. So if I win this, I'll do a game of online. For whatever reason, I'll make that a condition. Otherwise, I'll just end it. But yeah, I don't know how to actually fit that in as a normal series, unless I just replace this one, which I don't want to do right now. I still can't believe this game had only been out since 2018. So, like, what were people playing before that? I guess they were just playing online, or there must be even some other version of the game, too. There's a lot of, like, single-player games for it, but I'm shocked that they also don't have a proper category for each one. Like, they're all just under the same banner, like on Twitch. I can't think of too many games that really do that. It's one thing if it's just an expansion to it. They don't have to have a category for just an expansion, but there's so many different versions of the game itself. Even just like playing over the board. Yeah, even in person or online, they don't even have that, do they? Although I guess a lot of things maybe don't have that, like Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't have that either. Yeah, a lot of people seem to be using exactly the same stuff over and over, which, if it's really timeless mode, there's so much variety, but people ruin it because they just want to be boring. At least fucking Thoughtseize you see in every game. You love Yu-Gi-Oh? I don't like it so much anymore, but with all the synchro cancer that we see. Okay, this is fine. Okay, just give me a matchup where I can actually play stuff in a good curve, and I'm happy with that, even if I don't win. I was even trying to give Blue some credit, like, oh, maybe I'm actually starting to like this, but now it completely fucks me over this time. Gets plus X plus 0 until end of turn, where X is his toughness. That's actually pretty good. I mean, for a 1-cost card. With hexproof even still too, or not hexproof, ward. I literally lost to this in my Donkey Kong 64 first playthrough, first permadeath attempt ever that I've done. That was kind of an embarrassing one, but I just wasn't used to the controls, I guess. I should have set up like an actual proper controller for it. I can't believe they never remade that game. Like, there's so many games that get re-released, but, you know, they'd rather do Banjo-Kazooie nuts and bolts and all this kind of shit rather than actually do Donkey Kong 64. Okay, let's see. We can actually finally buff something, I guess. Or no, I still won't be able to do it. Okay, I can't use that effect. How much does it cost again? 4, though. That is kind of crazy. I mean, they could easily block it, or in fact, they could kill it. I shouldn't have even done that. I mean, they would have had to give up 2-on-1s, but it's maybe worth it. Yeah, like, that is a good effect, but it's so goddamn expensive that why would I even bother? We've seen this one before, but is it just a different art, or is it actually a different version of the same one? Like how they have 4 different Sarkans, or all these different, you know, versions of the same character. I don't even know. Okay, let's do that. Flying Ward. We honestly just need like some sort of ramp for this. Like I should somehow mix in green just to give some of those mana generating minions, because that's really the problem. I can't do anything because I would almost just rather go fucking face, but it's probably not a good idea. Whenever I attack planeswalkers, I always just lose because it means that the game is going to take too long then. You just got to get in whatever damage you can and just hope it's enough, which it almost is enough now too. If I just had like one more buff or something. Right, we're going to do 5. He's not going to be able to block it. So we're just like 1 minion short. Yeah, if I was me, I would make some sort of format in this game that isn't just historic, but it's like restrictive too. It's like you can only, you know how they've done like the twist mode in Hearthstone sort of. You can only use stuff from the oldest expansion and just... They might rotate stuff like that into a certain draft or something, but you can only use like the stuff from the very first expansion in the history of the game, and then the next month you can only use stuff from the second expansion or from the first 2, and kind of just rotate it like that. Just as an option, right? Like I don't see why that would hurt, or let people create their own custom rule sets for stuff. you know, for what you can use. And I guess I had nothing else to do anyway, unless I wanted to do that. So many of these people's decks aren't really that impressive, which is why it kind of bothers me. Just, why the fuck can't you do anything? So that's fine too. You can obviously block it as much as you want, deal 1. Or you could just ignore it and probably finish me out the next turn. Or one of these people who had this did like a very sick interaction with it. Like, were they sick in a bad way? Like, they summoned the thing and they had an effect that guaranteed killed it over and over. So you just get to see it get killed. The hamster get killed every single turn. I don't know why they had that happen. Like, it deals 1 damage to everything and it kept summoning the 1/1 hamster. So you're just seeing, like, he's torturing it over and over by just watching it die. Yeah, like now there'd be like an AoE effect that he has that gives everything -1, -1. Alright, so we have to win this best of 3, otherwise I'm not going to do the online thing. Which again, that's not usually too high of a standard. Like, I just beat a gold ranked player in this the other day, or the other week. Right, in the best of 3. So somehow, not even just in one game, obviously, I do that all the time, but... Okay, we should be dead, obviously. But no, they didn't get off to too crazy of a start, so if I just get a decent opening, I should be fine. Oko is the face of his crew, using charisma and charm to recruit others to his side and advance his dastardly plans. But who could his mysterious benefactor be? Only time will tell. There's just so much random lore in this game that they need like a formalized, you know, some sort of entry to really introduce it properly. Or, you know, again, I always say they should have an MMO or something. It's like the ultimate opposite of what card games are in the modern day, where it's like, you know, you would normally have an existing franchise and then you'd make a card game spin-off of it, like Hearthstone is for Warcraft or whatever. But in this case, you need the opposite. You have a card game that people are such big fans of, but now you need a spin-off in another genre that's actually going to be, you know, taking advantage of all the lore that they do have. But a lot of the lore, I guess, is just borrowed, so that might be hard to determine. But using whatever original Magic lore that they had. Right, because when the game first came out, it couldn't be borrowing so much from other things. So that should be good. I mean, this is a pretty good value card. Also known as a green card. 1 mana 3/3. Wow, you wouldn't even need to pay any other thing. Just literally be using a green card. That's what's so insulting about this. Like, you have to go through so much effort to make this actually valuable. I won't even bother doing that. Let's just try to start getting some damage in. And what you could do with this is you could keep doing that every turn too, but it wouldn't matter, right? Because, well, I could attack with it, then untap it, then block it. Stomping ground. This is like the fucking extinction of the dinosaurs. They have books for the lore. That's cool, but yeah, it's just surprising they wouldn't have like a proper game series, even like single player story games or something. I almost don't want to do that, but I guess it doesn't really matter. Or they had canceled that one that everybody was talking about. It's like a Diablo style game almost. Can't remember what it was called, but that would have been cool at least, even though I don't like Diablo style hack and slash games either. Yeah, that is usually the opposite path that people take, where they'll do some kind of other franchise and then every franchise gets whatever. They try to take advantage of it and they say, let's make a Witcher card game, let's make a whatever card game of every universe. Plants vs. Zombies card game spin-off, like fuck. It's almost seen as something secondary and negligible, but Some of them can be pretty good, actually, or they give up on them so quickly. Like Elder Scrolls Legends could have been good, but they just didn't support it long enough. This was the one mythic card that I crafted to actually start doing this deck, but obviously it's garbage too. You create an illusion, and then whenever it blocks, it doesn't untap, so like, it's fine, but it's not really that special either. It's at least decently statted, like 5 mana 4/5 with an okay effect, hexproof. Or yeah, it doesn't even have hexproof, it only relies on the 2/0/2. It's like, why doesn't it just have hexproof, period? Why do you have to make that sacrifice for what is supposed to be a good value mythic card anyway? Like, the statting on most of the stuff is just garbage, dude. I'm not even holding it to the high standard of, oh, it's got to be a 5 mana 10/10 dinosaur, like I always love, but just give me something decent, dude. Like, yes, it has flying, yes, it has hexproof, but it's still just fucking trash. Alright, let's actually just do it, though, and try to burn him down, but it's going to be very hard, or, I mean, at least these will buy you some time. That's the specialty of blue, always, is just being annoying. Right, and just sort of wasting your time. I've become the very thing I swore to destroy, but it's still not even that good. When it blocks a creature, so yeah, why would I even bother attacking with it? Or I could buff them too. So maybe I need more stuff like that. It just sort of stalls the game out so I can get more of these cheap little hits in. And again, a lot of the time people don't have an answer for flying stuff either. Whether it be their own flying thing or reach, or again, removal is going to be hard to come by when you have everything is going to have hexproof. I'm not even in a bad position. It's just going to take me too long to actually do anything. Like, we're actually going to get static value from this just as a 4/5 because it's still better than anything else I ever summoned. Not to any credit of the card, it's just like, wow, a 4/5 is a big deal. This is one of those cards you can tell I'm just committing to hexproof just because I want to use like every hexproof card, not because I actually think it's good in any way. That would be good if it tapped it and stopped it from hitting it in the same moment, right? But it still dies and then taps it. Like, what's the point of that? Alright, we can buff this. I mean, we're at least getting summer with this, but it's just not going to be quite enough. Or, I guess it is good because, well, they'll damn near finish me off next turn if I don't. 4/8. Oh, yeah, they actually will. I'll have to block with the other thing. But then if they do go all in like that, no, they won't because this won't go anywhere. All they would have to do is have an effect that sort of does untap it. We should win this, but you never know. And they'd only have 4 lands out there, so it's not like they have a lot of plays they could potentially make, but there's a big tendency in this game, like whenever I think I'm going to win, they do some crazy combo that they're holding back, or like it's just on perfect timing, right? They'll have nothing on the board, nothing in their hand, but they'll do some crazy, you know, with 1 HP left, like a Yu-Gi-Oh type moment. This game had, like, from the show at least. Okay, that's good. So we're fighting for our life to be able to play 1 game of online. Yeah, with emotes that you paid 5,000 gold for, those stupid yeehaw ones and stuff. At least those are kind of something I haven't used gold on before. I've exhausted every single thing that you can potentially buy, like whatever, an avatar, a card back, this and that. So now finally, or maybe I haven't gotten a land still. One of those like little kid drawn scribbled ones made by some intern of the game where it looks like a little kid drew it with a crayon, like some of the stupid lands you can buy from the shop. So as a free to play newish player, why would you ever do any of that? But okay, we do get Invisible Stalker. Maybe I'll take a chance and hope that I don't get land screwed, but I mean, I really shouldn't do it. Fuck me. Okay, let's go with the highest cost one, whatever, the turtle that I never even get a chance to use. I got to use that way more as green when I had it in there than this because Or he is going to get rid of the invisible stalker even, or he's going to be a clown and miss out. Fuck. How do you know that's my whole strategy and win condition, dude? Yeah, that one went pretty perfectly, so it's unlikely we're going to have any chance here, or what we're going to actually get is just mana screwed, because we have to hope that we top deck a land now like 5 turns in a row, which is not really that unlikely, but we went out of our way just to do that, to keep the invisible stalker, and now we don't even get to do it. We don't even get to use it. I don't know that I've even ever played this once. Whenever it attacks, cry 1. Like, why do I even have that? Just because it's hexproof, obviously. Look at that. He's already down to 12. Now everything goes exactly as planned. We just have to sit here and whack you for 12 turns with this shit. And we might actually be able to do it, assuming you can't heal, assuming you can't use AoE, like all these kind of basic mechanics that would counter me. If you can heal, I have no chance. If you have removal, AoE, or, you know, exile everything, I have no chance. If you have kind of a lot of damage and board presence yourself, I have no chance. If you have, what's the other thing? Like, I don't know, pretty much if you have almost any mechanic, I can't do anything, but I do need at least a little more help, or if you have like reach or anything to counter flying, like your own flying stuff, right? That also hurts because a lot of my stuff ends up being like that, which is a mechanic that always obviously punished the shit out of me when I would play as green, because I wouldn't have an answer for it. Okay, these little dinky 1/1s don't bother me too much, but he's probably saying the same thing. Okay, that thing I'll have to find an answer for. At least we got a good showing for that Mesmer thing the last time. Right, I normally haven't had much occasion to use that. I mean, there's really not much I can do. Like, what could I possibly have to deal with that? I don't have any proper removal cards. And I don't even have much land in here either. So I'm just screwed. I'll literally have to put some green cards in here, like the Carotid and stuff. This is so fucking unlikely to happen, dude. I mean, that's what the mulligan is for, but it's so ridiculous. I mean, I would get mana screwed even in my green deck sometimes, but the minions would always save me because, you know, they're going to give you more than anything else. Fuck yeah, dude. At least I won some games in some of those sets, right? Like, where it at least shows you have a chance, but everything does have to go, like, pretty much perfectly. But just remember, this is a deck that has 20 fucking land cards in there, but we're getting so consistently screwed on them, which doesn't even make sense. Or it almost makes me want to play. You know what? We'll do one more just because. But this won't count for the online thing. Or, I mean, I'm almost guaranteed not to win it anyway. But just so I can complete the daily quest, I guess. So we'll have to play like 2 blue cards. How have I not played even 20 blue cards in this whole episode then? I guess because mostly I'm not playing anything. Just because I'm fucking getting mana screwed the whole time. Yeah, every 24 hours, but I only do them once a week because, you know, mathematically it'd be impossible. So I can do 3 a week, which is still not bad, but it's less about how much I play too and more about just doing the daily quest, because you have to, obviously, at least to get the orbs and the reward track type thing, because if I don't do the daily quest, no matter how much I play, right, that's not going to give me enough experience. Or unless I'm like winning every game or whatever. You can do like that 15 game rotation where like if you win 15 it gives you like a certain amount of rewards for it. I don't know if that's every day or, well, I guess for me it would be every week anyway. So then it kind of throttles you at 15 games is the most that you can benefit from. Here we go, dude. I mean, obviously I'm gonna mulligan because you just have to have like 50 lands in your hand. I guess I'll settle for that just because of the simple fact that you have double invisible stalker, so even if you do your obligatory Thoughtseize play, it's just not even going to matter. But I'm the real winner no matter what, because we'll at least get the daily quest done here. Okay, this is at least a good start. I'll get the other invisible stalker out there too, but maybe I should hold it back in case they have an AoE, but I don't have the time or the luxury to really do that. Yeah, it's always going to scare them now, and they'll do some drastic reaction because look what a crazy juiced up board I actually have. But just give me like 5 turns where you don't actually do anything, or at least you don't do anything that can counter this. Whenever you cast a legendary spell, untap it, draw a card, discard a card, transform it, activate only a sorcery. All these things don't really bother me as long as you don't have an answer for what I'm doing necessarily. Deals damage to a player. If that creature enters the battlefield this turn, draw a card. Okay, that's a very oddly specific effect. Okay, they've certainly built up a potentially intimidating board, though, I will say. But it doesn't matter as long as you don't have a way to block my shit. Right, I could still maybe outdamage you, but I guess we can at least do this and block with it too. I mean, that is a pretty handy effect too in the long term, right? It's not just to try to get rid of the counters at the beginning. Doesn't really seem like... Isn't that the name of some recent game that came out, Omen Path? Search your library up to 5 land cards that have different names, exile them, then shuffle. Okay. How many turns would I actually need to finish this off? And the answer is probably like at least 3, unless I get some buff here right now. I'm not as concerned, well, I maybe should be, about the amount of damage that they might do, but you know, they'll pretty much finish me off next turn, or maybe at least the turn after that. That one can't be blocked anyway, so yeah, why didn't they just do it? Fuck. See, that's where I could have won. If I had a card that I could actually play that turn, I would have won, but obviously that's too much to ask, just to have a playable card for like fucking 5 or 6 mana. I guess I could have untapped it even while it was attacking, but what good would that have even done me? So now, the point is I would have had to have won this turn, right? But I would need 4 extra damage, which I'm just not going to get no matter what. Right, now they're going to get way too much damage in. I can't afford to block with this stuff, so I just lose no matter what. Unless they tap their stuff too much for effects, or if they're too much of a coward to actually try to attack. Maybe I should just put more high cost buffs in there, because this is the stage it gets to where I can't play anything. It's not even that like, oh, it's top heavy. It's that everything I have is just very inefficient value too for what it even does cost. Or I mean, I could block something here still. Or maybe not. Yeah, see, now I would have had to have the finisher this turn, but it's not going to work because there's no way I can possibly do 9 damage. Unless you could, like, attack, untap, like, you know, in the same battle phase, like, 3 times. Which it was actually letting me, but I don't think it would let me attack again, right? It was letting me untap even during the battle phase. We always come so close in doing this, but it just doesn't matter, right? Like, if I had had that 1 turn earlier, I would have actually won. Just because I would have gotten 1 extra hit in, and they really don't seem to have any answer for anything I'm doing. That doesn't even matter, like, it's just over. Let's actually... Oh, I should have actually tried to see if that would work. Like, if I untapped it during, actually, the battle phase itself. People do seem very bot-like in this game. Like, they don't emote much, they don't really do anything, or they play stuff out in ways that they don't really need to do. Which you could say, oh, that's BM, but, like, why does it matter? Like, nobody's really Like, why? Why are you doing this, dude? Especially in a best of 3, where now you might end up losing the next 2 anyway, but I guess he's got to savor whatever win he can get. Look at that, we're both in top deck mode, the sign of clearly 2 good decks being evenly matched. But more like 2 decks being equally bad. Bro. This is where I'm just too... I have too, what do you call it? Too much of a sense of honor that I would actually... Okay, I don't want to resign, I want to actually see the game play out, but look at what the fuck, man. You know that I wouldn't have some sort of answer or counter play that like, oh, you have to do everything perfectly because obviously, you know, I don't even have any mana. Okay, dude, very cool, very fun. They don't have any mana now either, so just fucking end it. Fuck me, dude. I mean, sometimes I would resign just for the sake of time, but I mean, I'll let him have his moment. And we still get another chance to beat him anyway, but the dude wants to sit here till literally the end of time, so I guess we won't. Wow, dude. I guess now it couldn't be a bot because even a bot wouldn't have this much patience. This is one of those kind of turns too. It's like, wow, not only does he win, but look at the extent to which he won. Whereas if I had played this one turn earlier, he wouldn't have been able to do all this probably. Or we're just trying to see the BM thing of like, how low can they get me on the minus, which wasn't even still that big of a deal. I've seen way higher than that. But no, it really is just a mana screw fucking fiesta over here. And I'm not going to blame even the quality of the deck. I'm going to blame the colors for that because it's just... You know, it's much more innate to blue and white to have those kind of values, or I really feel like blue stands out too, like a sore thumb. There's so many badly statted, just bad cards in blue. Even if they are having my favorite mechanic in hexproof, it's just still not enough to justify it. Like 5 mana, 2/5. Like some of these cards must be super old from really, really, you know, super old expansions where even at the time they probably weren't considered good value for then. Okay, that's actually fine, even though I don't have a blue land. So how much you want to bet I'm never gonna get one for the first 50 fucking turns? That's fine, at least we get to play it early, but it's 4 mana, or no, 3 mana for a 1/1. Like, what the fuck? And it has like a little mini can't be blocked element too, but that's usually not gonna have much significance either. And of course this is exactly what we don't want because whatever, it's just not going to, you know, help me summon the invisible stalker, which again, the earlier you get it out, the better it's going to be. It's just not going to matter. Fuck. I mean, at least we can play something, which is a big plus compared to most of these games that we have. Average Khajiit role player in Skyrim over there. Oh my fuck, dude, something is going on with the game, but it doesn't even matter. I'll just commit to this then. I don't care. Let's just go hard all in with this. Just sit there for 5 turns and don't do anything, and I'll be fine with that too. But this is why it's a bad play here, because of course they can easily just use any sort of removal in the universe on it, right? Whereas with obviously with anything with hexproof is going to be at least a little more difficult, especially when you get it to this high of a health value. This one can't even block. And so I'll be able to get this 5 damage in no matter what. So he's kind of panicking a bit. What a great turn where I just can't fucking do anything at all. Like, and see, I'm going off to a good start. Like, oh, they're already down to 10. If only I could actually play something. Okay, next time I'll definitely change the stack. This is fucking annoying me. I'll put in like another 10 lands and just fuck it. It makes no sense, dude. I guess everything is high cost because there weren't really enough low cost cards that fit with this. Like, Can't be blocked by 4 or greater, which, okay, dude. Once again, nothing I can play. Unbelievable. Partly just the fault of not having blue stuff either, but you can always switch these around too. I guess that's maybe one plus of it. But or actually, that one I don't think you can. So 1 blue land would be perfect, but again, it's too late. That's really the thing you realize about this. Most of these games, actually, I would have won if I just got it maybe in exactly the right order, or just like some playable sequence, but it just doesn't happen because, you know, even now, like you're almost damn near have lethal, but right, you would just need like 1 extra attack or 1 way to get rid of that. He's down to 5. Like, I just can't do anything. Yeah, there aren't enough low-cost hexproof things, and there also aren't enough I don't know, like maybe there's some lower cost things with flying, but generally I'm trying to do like hexproof and flying together is the whole point, not just flying. Or again, even just stuff that buffs things up. I mean, we at least have some blocking capabilities. Like, that's a pretty efficient block. This is a pretty efficient block. That one doesn't really matter too much to me because, you know, that's not as high a priority target. And so we could just still keep playing it safe and just keep blocking everything. That would be fine. Like, he hasn't been able to deal with this, so that's at least good. Somehow, like, they just don't have adequate removal for it. Look at the fucking rainbow land shit that they're doing, too. Okay, fine, dude, whatever. It's one of those things where did your opponent really win, or did I just beat myself? Because that's unbelievable how much I'm getting screwed on lands and mana. Or even when I'm not getting screwed on that, like, it's just I'm getting the wrong land. Like, let me actually look at the curve of this again, because I almost can't believe it. It didn't seem that bad in the last couple times. I've been using the same thing. But like some games that might happen, but it's more like you'll end up at least getting the stalker out and it might not be enough or something. Now I'm just not getting anything. Like, let's like, I mean, most of my low cost cards, unfortunately, are the, like, I need 4 of these basically, right? Or some really just low cost stuff. But no, most of the low cost cards are actually just, what do you call it? They're actually just going to be buffs themselves. And again, most of these are not going to be the best value for what they have, but let's even see, like, what am I missing? Because I think I made most of the hexproof cards you can have. I think I unironically don't have much of a choice. White doesn't even have too many. Right. So that's my criteria. It has to be hexproof or it has to be giving a buff. Those are like the only 2 conditions I have to reach. So it's not really even my fault because most of this is all that we have. Right, there is really nothing better. Okay, see you tomorrow.